we must begin to call to question the activities and the antecedents of our representatives. When last did you reach an agreement with your representatives? When was the last time you had the effrontery to leave easy local government in Ebonyi State to travel all that way, cutting across the Niger Bridge, cutting across Kogi State, finding yourself in the Federal Capital Territory in Abuja, with the sole aim of wanting to find out what are your representatives doing in the National Assembly? Beyond the rumors of, oh, that's where the money is being shared, beyond the rumors of, that's where the virginity of hundreds of ladies are being, I don't know if this is appropriate, but let me just stick to the story. I don't want us to delve into a lot of other stories that might necessarily require me to now bring proof because some persons want proof and all of that. But no, I'm still going to make my point. We have a social contract with our leaders, and it's one of the greatest lies that we have been told is that once we elect them, we have to wait for the next 4 years. We have to give them 4 years to decide on whether they are going to scam us or whether they are going to work for us. Nigerians have actually been told that it will take 4 years for them to once again go to the polls to vote. I know that it necessarily might not be practicable to now say, okay, let's conduct a referendum or let's recall a representative, and all of those issues. With the INEC that we have, so much is left to be desired, either for good or either for better. I've not used the word worse, but the beauty basically is that we must begin to call to question the activities and the antecedents of our representatives. We can no longer wait for 4 years. 4 years to be given a new story, a story of non-performance, a story of the corruption of the system, a story of the institutional divide that divides this country. We have to call up once again, every now and then, we must call up our representatives. We must make sure that they are actually keeping to the social contract. We must call up our governors. We must make sure that they are keeping to the social contract. Somebody is saying, why not call up the president? We must call up the president and make sure that the president is keeping to his social contract. Nigeria is bigger than any one individual, but by and large, we need to know that as citizens, we have a right to demand from our government in a legal and in a lawful means for them to perform based on either their party manifestos or whether the manifestos or the thinking of the individuals that we have actually voted into office. They must begin to see that they have to deliver in the interest of the people. When the people now begin to lose faith in the systems, imagine a people of a country losing faith in the entire judiciary of that country. Imagine what that country will look like. That's why you will hear that the country's judges, they came up with a judgment and people are confused. They don't know, should we obey, should we not? Should we obey, should we not? Because once you begin to see that at the forefront, before a judgment is delivered, you see politicians with the Baba regards, you see them with their three-piece suit and with their bowler hats, representing the fact that they come from a particular region of this country, and they are seated at the forefront in the court, even trying to edge out the senior advocates within the Supreme Court. Then you know that there is a possibility that they may actually have had access to the contents of that judgment. Before the judgment is out in the open, people are already brandishing the fact that, oh, we know what this judgment is really about. We do not want that kind of an institution, and we have to call to question. We have to call to question. We have to call to question. We have to call to question the integrity of the people that the nation is hinging their fate upon. This is a social contract. The Nigerian people do not have a social contract with the institutions per se. They have it with their elected representatives. But the time has come. The hour is now. The moment is now. When you go to a federal government organization, there is a social contract. It's an implied social contract. You have a right to be served well. When you go to stamp duty's office, for example, I love that office. Those guys are highly professional. You know, there's a social contract for you to be served well, and they serve well in that organization. When you go to NAFDAC, when you go to road safety, when you go to VIO, you have a right to be served well. Enough of the era. Enough of that era. We want a new Nigeria. We must demand it. We must demand it from our public servants. We must demand it from the market woman. We must demand it from the security individuals. We must demand that new Nigeria. Our sweat is hinged on this belief that Nigeria must actually work in the interest of everybody. Therefore, and in line with our social contract, we must demand all that is right to keep this country on a trajectory of progress, of that promise that our children will not have to fight the same battles that we yet fight. The future has to count for their interest. The future has to be better. Every Nigerian deserves a better Nigeria. This is Nigeria.